Hi Aries, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your December general reading. I'm so excited for December, and the more that I get into these readings, it's funny because I always do like whoever's birthday month it is, when the sun ingresses into a certain sign, that's who I start with for the month. And in a way, it's kind of to celebrate, your birthday and you being the first. Funny that I bring this up for Aries, who always wants to be first. It's not necessarily the best to be first, because it's like after going through 3 or 4 or 5 of these readings, then I start to develop or pick up on a theme, a little bit deeper than just the astrological assumptions that I have. So the deeper I get into these readings, the more I pick up on themes, and December's really big. It's really magical. It's looking at it, I think we all knew it was going to be big astrologically. I mean, we're in eclipse season. We have Saturn and Jupiter coming conjunct in the middle of the month with an eclipse. I mean, we've been through some stuff. And 2020 has been a powerhouse of transits. We've all been looking at this year, 4 years already, wondering what would play out, how things would change. And it didn't matter how prepared you were, it still felt big. Regardless of, how much you were sensing change. And I say this to you because I'm looking at your cards for the month, and you are all about change, Aries. You are coming out as the King of Wands, and your environment is that of the Chariot. And I can't emphasize enough how much this means that my life is moving forward. Now, Aries has not had it easy for 6 months. You've been in sort of this restraint with Mars retrograde. Interesting to note, we went almost entirely through the first 20 degrees of Aries and then retrograded. The entire retrograde phase was still from 0 degree Aries. It's been purely in your energy, meaning the emphasis has been on holding back. It's probably been a visit with sustaining our desire, our need for instant gratification, for something more long-term, something higher quality, making the squares to Saturn all year. Sometimes it probably felt like whatever road we wanted to go down, it just didn't work out. Things didn't go our way, and nothing was ever easy about 2020. But December comes and the eclipses come, and all of a sudden the dam kind of breaks. And that's exactly what it's going to feel like. It's almost as though you get used to being stagnant. You get used to being held down. You almost become, like Stockholm syndrome. Like, okay, well, this is a new normal. We just can't do the things we want to do. We just can't meet the people we want to meet. Things just aren't going to come together, and I have learned to accept it. I think a lot of the signs through the month of November were taking a real hard look at their ability to accept that things weren't going to go their way. But the thing is, with Aries, the reason things weren't going your way is because the universe kind of knew better. There might have been some things you wanted to do, some people you wanted to date, some projects you wanted to start. And like I said, nothing would really take root, nothing would really take off, in spite of your desire, in spite of your will. And so you hold up this energy, an eclipse comes in Gemini in your 3rd house. Another solar eclipse, a full solar eclipse in mid-December comes in your 9th house, and this becomes a learning experience. And the thing is, Aries, I think you're headed right to a brand new teacher, a brand new lesson. Center of your reading and the card that I felt the strongest, the Hierophant. Now, sometimes I pick up this Hierophant in so many different ways. But for you, this Hierophant represents your North Node, your purpose, what the whole thing has been about. Now, you are in the Knight of Wands energy. Well, it's easy to assume that you are very courageous. You are very eager for the new things to come in. You're willing to go after. You're willing to do the work. And with the Chariot, it also means that you're willing to kind of get vulnerable. Because I think intuitively, with the Knight of Wands, there is no doubt that you are being led intuitively. Meaning your solar plexus, there's sort of this pull towards this thing, and this thing could be 100 different things. It could be somebody that you want to date. It could be a work project. It could be a new friendship. It could be a new hobby. Yet you are naturally pulled towards it. And that Chariot reminds me of kind of being free, kind of letting go inside of that current. And I think Aries is finding themselves inside of a current right now. And the Hierophant can play out in a couple of different ways, a couple of really profound and different ways for you this month. And really it's all about the decision of how you want it to go. How do you want to experience this thing that you're headed towards at sort of a high velocity here? Now, your first three cards out, and I'm just absolutely... I love being in this energy in your reading. This feels so amazing to me. Because you're starting off with this Ace of Wands right next to the Chariot. This Ace of Wands, it is the Chariot. It is your vehicle for change. Now, most likely it's something new. This is a new opportunity, a new interest, maybe a new crush on somebody, or like I said, a new hobby, a new friendship. It's something new, and it's something that you feel in your solar plexus. There is an absolute attraction. There is an absolute direction that you feel with this. Kind of like a moth to the flame. This feels very irresistible. And in a way, Aries, I think you feel as though this is exactly what you have been manifesting the whole time. And maybe all the roadblocks through 2020, all the things that weren't working out, kind of make sense now. Kind of gives it a greater purpose. It's kind of cool to rewrite the story now. 2020 isn't all about these major epic disappointments. They were all about the universe actually moving you in a better direction. And the Ace of Wands is a better direction. Now, the funny part, and I say funny because, I don't really think of it as a big deal. I mean, especially for you guys, if you're on the internet and you're perusing, tarot channels, you're probably looking to higher sources, meaning you're probably resonating with a bit of a higher frequency, most likely, unless you just kind of stumbled on this, and then congratulations, the universe is clearly nudging you. But nonetheless, I see it as nothing more than a kind of comical thing. because here you are in the Nine of Wands energy. And I love, you can kind of get in close. I love the way that Nine of Wands, that man is just kind of looking at that Ace of Swords, looking at it like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Like, oh, hell no, something has to be wrong with this, right? This is kind of my skeptical cat kind of card. I don't know, this might be too good to be true. This might be a test in your fate. 2020 might have forced you to kind of put up some walls, put up some boundaries. I mean, my God, Saturn all the way through your 10th house, making a square to you, forcing you to draw boundaries, to get healthier with yourself, to make better decisions, to do things that are good for you, that support your growth as a human, the things that make you get yourself on a better routine, on a better schedule, eat the better food, do the right things. 2020's brought you there, to a level of self-mastery, and maybe that self-mastery was a little bit more about saying no to the instant gratitude kind of things. Maybe 2020 taught you that not all that glitters is gold. So there's kind of this cynical part of you that's looking at this Ace of Wands, this opportunity, this thing, and you're like, you're right. This doesn't happen to me. Now, the Nine of Wands might be a little bit more powerful than just, it can't really be true, I don't trust it. You know, and you want to be careful with that, because for all intents and purposes, you are being led on this journey for a reason. And the center of the card, the Hierophant card, again, means that the ultimate journey is that of ascension and of growth. Whatever this Ace of Wands is for you, it's something that has the potential to change you forever. It has the potential to change your look, your outlook on life. And the thing is, right below this Nine of Wands is this Hierophant. And that Hierophant is your ability to have faith. Your ability that even though 2020 has been very denying, you know, kind of a denying energy, a colder energy, a detached energy. And the Hierophant is your ability to have faith in the cycles. Now, the Nine of Wands indicates that you are at the end of a cycle. You're closing out a cycle. And there is no doubt we are all closing out cycles. The lunar cycles, the eclipses are ending things. Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, all kind of dissipating. And Saturn and Jupiter making a conjunction now in Aquarius, your 11th house, which is a house of luck. It's also a house of the higher mind, of how we are here to serve and participate and connect to others. So 2020 might have forced you to do some disconnecting. And then December comes and the eclipses come and the universe says, yeah, but it doesn't mean you're supposed to be alone. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to have the things that you want. It just means that you had to adjust your relationship to it. Whenever Saturn leaves a sign every 2.5 years, and especially because it's leaving your 10th house, oftentimes you get rewards for work well done. And if you've done the work, if you feel like you've put in the hours, you've paid off the debt, you've kind of paid your debt to society in a way, you've left your mark, you've used your voice, then you can have faith, the Hierophant, that the universe is going to give back. You will be rewarded for your hard work. That is especially clear because underneath this Hierophant is a Justice card. Now, where you might be at a bit of a crossroads, because next to this Nine of Wands is a Two of Pentacles. There's going to be duality this month. You can't have an eclipse in Gemini without having to see both sides, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, and that's where you're going to be to start out December. Am I going to let this wall down? Do I want to really open this up all over again? Maybe 2020 was kind of a nightmare for you relationship-wise, and then somebody comes along that really catches your eye and it almost kind of feels fated, the Hierophant, and yet you are questioning whether you really want to go down this road again at all. You looking at the upheaval that it may bring, and this could even be a new job, you know? Okay, so this new opportunity comes, but that means that I have to give up all of this extra vacation time or the perks of being at another place for so long, even if it means giving up your seniority, leaving one job and kind of going to the bottom of the totem in another arena. Yet it is change that you desire. So you have to be really clear on why you're putting those walls up. Why are you skeptical? Now it's perfectly fine to be skeptical. It's perfectly fine to have learned from your past and not want to repeat mistakes. It's also important for me to remind you that at this time, astrologically, you are not going to make those mistakes again because you are a completely different person. See, the good thing about 2020, the great thing that comes from 2020 is that the energy is so strong that you can't go back. You won't make the mistakes again. 2020 gave you the ability to draw the boundary, to draw the line, and most likely you won't even be attracted to the mistakes that you made in the past because you entirely are on a different vibration. And again, that Hierophant is going to force you to trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust your intuition. And you can trust your intuition in the King of Wands energy. That's about as intuitive as it can get. Now, underneath this Ace of Wands is the Eight of Swords. And this is where it starts to become very clear what this Two of Pentacles really represents. And the Two of Pentacles represents what we really want. What do we desire? Are we going to play it safe and stoic, or are we looking for an adventure? Remember, 2020 taught us that it's probably in our best interest to sort of let go to our attachment, which means let go to our attachment of expectations. This Ace of Wands, this brand new thing, can either break you free of the Eight of Swords energy. It has the potential to break you free from those negative thought patterns, the negative experiences. It's that voice in our head that really keeps us so small. And the universe doesn't want to see you play small anymore. They don't hand you an Ace of Wands just to see if you are going to have the ability to resist it. And I'm wondering why this Eight of Swords next to the Hierophant is such an issue. Now, this Eight of Swords can actually be extenuating circumstances that are somewhat out of your control. Eight of Wands is obviously a spot where you feel trapped, incapable to move things ahead. It could be things like somebody getting sick or stuck on quarantine. It could be things like just simply the inability to get together. Maybe time is kind of not on your side. It could represent delays, it could represent stresses, but it definitely represents kind of being in your head about things. So if there are delays, if there are reasons why you can't start this new job or meet this new person, you're going to have to kind of be more understanding. And for that, I want to also say resist the need to kind of judge the situation. Now, if somebody or something doesn't fit you or doesn't treat you right or doesn't show up or stands you up or ghosts you in some way, I'm not telling you to give that person a second chance. I mean, this is common sense. But if something does happen that kind of causes the delay in meeting or getting this started, I think it's just the universe kind of letting you know that it's not really going to serve you to get up in your head making kind of assumptions over why or how, or they're probably lying. And see, this is where skepticism kind of creeps back in. And when the 9 of Wands starts to creep into an 8 of Swords, it becomes outwardly, it becomes vocal. You could come up very standoffish at this time, very cold, very detached. And I don't think that the universe wants you to go in this direction. On the other side, of the Hierophant is that of the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is coming out right underneath this 2 of Pentacles. See, the whole thing is it's all a choice. This is all a choice. It's all how do you want to proceed and what do you want. And that Hierophant is kind of this bonus, this element of destiny. The thing is, this Ace of Wands has the potential to really grow into this Ace of Cups. I don't think that this is, meeting somebody, it doesn't feel Neptunian, like, oh my God, you're going to fall for them. And then, 2 weeks later, you'll be wondering what the hell you were thinking. Okay, there's long-term potential here. With the Hierophant, there's probably potential for a marriage partner, a soulmate kind of energy. And I think this Ace of Wands is meant to break you free, break you out of a pattern. And maybe it's a pattern where you felt like you needed to kind of be alone. Maybe it's a pattern, Aries, where you felt like relationships or hobbies or interests or any kind of thing you do for fun that isn't about work, because the emphasis has really been on your career and work all year, right? 10th house transit. It's all been about building up your identity, building up who you are. And there's something very cold and stoic about that. And I think 2021 and December starts to invite us into, there's a whole nother side. There's a softer side. There's more to experience. There's more to feel. And the Ace of Wands is there. And it's so powerful, this thing that shows up, because it makes you want to be vulnerable. It makes you want to kind of fight that voice in your head that says, oh my God, don't do this. Don't go on this date. Don't start this job. Don't go to that class. This is stupid. I think that Hierophant knows better. And again, because you are so intuitive this month, I think you're willing to be guided. That's what I'm saying. I feel like you are kind of an open vessel to intuitive hits and transformation this month. And I think you're moving into a really beautiful new experience and a new cycle in your life that will probably not look anything like anything you've experienced in the past. Now, that's not to say that wherever this is leading you to is going to be easy. It's not to say that it's not going to be just as profound as the things that happened in 2020. Look, we are still at the mercy of Pluto. Things are still happening collectively for many more years. We've got about 5 more years of really crazy, heavy transits. So it's not to say that 2020 comes and everything gets easier, for sure. 2021 is a lot about Saturn and Uranus, which is breaking free from the structures that hold us back and hold us down. And it's about kind of really starting to live from the heart place. Now, that's going to be different for everybody. But ultimately, we're leaving an earth element and moving into an air element. Thing is, things will change so rapidly now. Up until this moment, everything has kind of really moved slowly. Everything we've ever wanted, we really had to work for, really to put in the hours, put in the time. And all of a sudden now we start to pick up on this arena of instant manifestation. We start to really come into our own powers, each and every one of us. And that puts us in a whole nother playing field. Now, the 3 cards that you pulled, astrology-wise, is pretty profound. You have the card of Chiron. You have the card of the Grand Cross, the Provoker, and the card of Scorpio. So, this thing, this Ace of Wands thing comes into your life, and it's almost too good to be true, and it's super powerful. It does not mean it's going to be an easy relationship. It does not mean it's going to be an easy journey. It's not like, okay, you can kick up your feet out now, this is going to be great. No. I think what you're finding yourself in now is some pretty life-changing situations. Chiron appears, and it means, especially when it comes out in the same reading as a Hierophant, that you are about to meet a brand new teacher. And I think some of you have manifested a new teacher, a new lesson, a new karmic cycle in your life. Grand Cross, a Provoker, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to feel warm and fuzzy. It's going to be super intense. And it's going to require you to really do some work. Card of Scorpio, your life is going to transform in a lot of different ways because of this new thing. And it's going to force you to kind of grow up emotionally. It's going to force you to kind of let go of any childish behaviors, any old patterns. They're just not going to do in this relationship. The vibration is going to be very different from anything you've experienced before. Again, another indication with the Hierophant. There could be cultural differences, lifestyle differences, religious differences. It could just be somebody that's very different from anyone that you've ever been with before. Or again, vice versa with the job or, you know, the new hobby. It will be different. And it will have the ability to transform you entirely. And I often think when Chiron is there, especially with the provoking energy, there's a feeling like you finally opening up, you being somewhat cracked open enough so that you could show somebody else, you know, this is a vulnerability that I'm talking about that you're probably attempting to resist in some way. But until you show somebody or something your insecurities where you've been hurt, you're simply never allowing anyone to kind of fill those holes. Now, I know it goes a lot against my whole thing about, you know, codependency. Like nobody could ever fulfill you. Nobody can ever complete you. This is the things you have to do on your own. But if that were 100% true all of the time, then why would we have relationships at all, you know? There is a lot of healing that happens to us. There is a lot of growth that happens to us because of very profound connections in our life. And I think you're stepping into the next very profound situation. And I think it's going to be intense, and I think it's going to require a lot of internal work and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of faith. A lot of faith that you can kind of expose those scars to someone else and trust them. And trust yourself. Now, where we get into this kind of lower mind, higher mind kind of stuff, these eclipses in your 3rd and 9th house, is really going to dictate how all of this kind of unfolds for you. The challenge is going to be playing it small or going big. It's kind of about keeping yourself safe or allowing yourself to kind of go after that dream. And that's also very apparent when we have a Neptune stationing at the end of the month to go direct. Okay, so what's the dream? The 2 oracle cards that you got out was denial and imagination. Denial, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And imagination, I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind. Okay, so just quickly to sum this up, Aries, this means that you may be tempted a few times this month to kind of, like I said, resist this thing, this new thing. Denial, maybe you don't want to see that it's as big as it can be. Maybe you don't want to acknowledge how powerful it is. And that's okay. But denial is denying the vulnerability, meaning you're denying the experience altogether. And the universe wants you to focus more onto the 9th house, the optimism. You know, we have the South Node in Sag, which means the negative side of Sag is going to be being cynical, not being trustful, judging things too quickly. Maybe this is somebody who, like I said, could be very different from you. In a lot of ways, it lives a lot of different ways that might seem odd or weird or not so fluid with yours. And yet, if you use your imagination, if you use your intuition, if you use that solar plexus energy and kind of really feel with your heart, I think you're going to realize that there's a lot more here. There's a lot more possibility here for you. Now, the last 3 cards in your 9-card spread is the Temperance, the Justice card, and the 4 of Pentacles. Again, representing that choice. See, the Hierophant is right above this Justice card, meaning that there's an element of karma coming through in December. Again, if you have done the work, if you are open to the opportunity, the universe is handing you a gift. But if you haven't done the work, then this is going to feel so intense, Grand Cross provoker, that you simply won't be able to participate in it. The vibrations won't match. One person will be way too intense for the other person, and the other person is going to want to run away. And that's okay. If that's how it unfolds, and there's more work to do, and there'll always be another Ace of Wands. But the universe is probably telling you that you've really done the work, and you should probably maybe allow this to happen. Temperance card, when it shows up with the Hierophant, Temperance card is because it's Sag season. We're moving into Sagittarius. We're moving into new beginnings, a more optimistic and happy outlook, and it always brings big opportunities for growth. And this is you allowing that Ace of Wands to turn into something much bigger. And the Justice card means that you will get what you put into it. If you play it safe, if you play it small, if you decide you don't want to participate in this, if you decide you want to kind of keep your heart to yourself, Maybe the Four of Pentacles can represent you not really wanting to share, not wanting to be vulnerable with another person or an opportunity. Then you will get exactly what you put into it. If you run away, nothing will come of it. Now, I don't see that you'll be living a lifetime of regret or remorse here. It's not like, it's not like that at all. But it's just a portal, an opportunity that the universe sets in front of you. And they say, if you're ready, go. It's kind of like a cheat on a video game where you get to skip 10 levels. And the question is, do you want to skip 10 levels? Do you really want to experience that wonderful thing? Or do you want to keep things going the way that they've kind of always been? Now, the overall energy of this reading is the Five of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Six of Cups, and the Chariot. This is my favorite part of maybe my whole life. I love pulling these cards randomly and picking up the quick story. You got to heal this. You got to heal this fear of abandonment, the fear that nobody sticks around, that people kind of only come into your life to emphasize what it's like when they leave. This is a negative outlook. This is a scarcity outlook, and this is what's going to be healed this month, I think, whether you like it or not. And I think just the mere fact that this Ace of Wands has made it into your life is an indicator that the universe wants you to believe that there's something more. Wants you to kind of go into that dream space. Queen of Swords is a super visionary outlook. And it's looking at the big picture. And it's discernment. So it knows the wisdom of what is ego, what is useful ego, and what is kind of self-sabotage ego. I love the Queen of Swords because she can kind of in an instant tell you that, okay, no, that thought that you just had, that fear that just crept in is ego. And you don't have to choose it. It's not so bad to have the thoughts. The power comes from having the thought and then knowing, oh, that's just my ego. I'm not going to listen to it. And I think the Queen of Swords is kind of really discerning the ego voice inside themselves. It says, don't go for this. This is too good to be true. You can't trust this. You can't trust that. You can trust it. Now, if you have this overwhelming, awful feeling like you don't want to partake in anything, please don't. I think the true wisdom here is to not fight your intuition. But here we are, the Chariot and the Six of Cups. Again, another indication that there is a possibility of this being something that's very, kind of soulmate feeling. There is a feeling of unconditional love, and maybe that's the experience that you're meant to have next. Maybe all of the other experiences were about other lessons, and maybe this lesson is about learning how to give and receive love without expectations, without needs, without desires. Just experience love for what it is. You have a feeling that this person coming into your life is kind of here to teach you that. Now, these two animal cards are pretty fantastic, and I'm going to just read these to you because it's important for you to understand. The fox energy does relate to the appearance of the perfect mate or partner. And the eagle is kind of that big picture energy of knowing that this is meant to be in your life for growth, for future advancement, and having the vision to go after what you want and desire. And like I said, I am going to read these to you. We're only at 40 minutes. Keeping it short today. All right. So the fox card. Smart, strong partner or mate and a wise teacher. The fox is an enchanting creature with plenty of mystique to go around. Fox personalities are skillful in business and also make great teachers. They are quick to learn and adapt well to new situations. Fox are ideal life partners as they commit to relationships for the long term, and their natural charisma keeps things exciting. Fox energy helps us stay true to those most dear to us. When this card appears, reconnect to those you love. Foxes don't do well when they slip away. When in balance, they are magical, ingenious, teacher, and monogamous. When out of balance, they could be sneaky and unsure of their identity. To bring into balance, they actually require connection and partnership. I think this is representing this partner that's coming in for you, or this new job opportunity. I know I keep saying it, guys. It feels like a love relationship. I can't keep fighting it. It just feels like it. But maybe not for all of you. This could definitely be a job opportunity or a new goal or a new passion. Okay, Eagle. All-pervading power, truth seeker, and transforming karma. The noble eagle emanates the light of the sun. This great bird is both physically and spiritually strong and represents mastery over the elements of fire and air. When the eagle appears, you'll soon be thrown into the karmic fire for the sake of your transformation. The eagle pushes us to be our best and brightest selves and stops at nothing to see us shine. Grasp the sun in your talons and hold on for the ride. You are stronger than you think, eagle child. When in balance, bright, radiant, and challenges. When out of balance, controlling. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't try to control the situation. And to bring in the balance, you have to step into the unknown. This is definitely an adventure, and I really hope you don't deny it. All right, final card, oracle card, card number 12, which is breaking down to a 3, which is always a very creative element for you. A change in the wind. Things are about to change in a really big way for you, Aries. Change is coming and you feel it, and it could make you feel unsettled and nervous, but you have the choice to overcome that fear and participate in the rewards that it will bring you. All right, Aries, I absolutely love this reading. I am so glad I got to give it to you guys. I really hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. I'll be back mid-month, probably with more of a focus on what 2020 is going to be bringing for us. But nonetheless, you'll see me mid-month. So I'm sending you lots of love. Enjoy December, and I'll see you later. Bye.